Yeah. Okay, listen up. That's the old school teacher. Good morning and welcome, everyone, to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Greater Naples. My name's Patty Bryan, and I am the worship associate today. Whether you're here in the sanctuary or watching us on Facebook Live at home or sitting out on our pavilion, or if you found another time to watch the recorded service on Facebook or YouTube, please know that all of you are always welcome here. The mission and vision of this congregation is printed on the back of your service. It's not printed on the back of your service. Okay. All righty. Okay. Wherever you find it. And if you'd like to know more about our congregation or about Unitarian Universalism, you've come on a good day, as Tony will be leading a New to UU session after the service today. How many of you are here for the first or second or even third time? Welcome, and make yourself known to us. Say hello and who you are. Join us for coffee and conversation out on the patio after the service. Our hope is to make you feel welcome and help you find ways to connect and find meaning right here. If you found us online for the first time, we hope that you will email us at office@uunaples.org. And then we can include you in our email news blasts and let you know about all the interesting things that are going on right here at UUCGN. And now, Tony, for his welcome and announcements.
Thank you, Patty, and very much, and thanks for being with us as our worship associate this morning. Thanks for all of you who are here. I have a particular gratitude I want to share this morning. We had a wonderful Progressive Voices lecture series this year, 5 wonderful lectures. Had a good turnout for each one, a very successful year. So I want to thank the Progressive Voices team and all the fabulous volunteers led by the core organizing group of Ann Fisher, Leslie and Roger Frick, Jack Motor, Sandy Cunningham, and Colleen Carr. But if you were involved at all, please stand up and let's give them a round of applause for another successful year. So I have a few brief announcements. After the service today, there is a forum. Jane Graham is giving a talk on your genealogy, or finding your family. That'll be down in Thomas Hall at 11:30. In the sanctuary here, after people have had a chance to get some coffee, we have a New to UU orientation session right here. So take your time, get some coffee, have a couple of conversations, and then come on back in. I'll be leading the vigil this afternoon at the Everglades Detention Center, so if you can make it, the bus leaves right outside our door at 2 o'clock. If you haven't registered, it's freedomvigils.org, so still time to sign up. There'll be 2 buses today, so plenty of room. This Tuesday, March 10th, there's the NAACP Literary Luncheon, so if you haven't signed up for that, then I don't know if there's still room or not, but check outside with Diane Keys and let her know if you're interested. This Thursday at 6:30 here in the sanctuary, our Social Justice Committee, in conjunction with the Interfaith Alliance of Southwest Florida, will be showing a film, Bad Faith. This is a documentary about Christian nationalism, very informative, and it will be followed by a facilitated discussion. So if you're interested in that, it's free. Just show up at 6:30. Next Sunday, I'll be sharing the pulpit with Pastor Miguel Estrada from Misión Peñel in Immokalee. It promises to be really interesting. His title for next week is "We Do Not See the Light at the End of the Tunnel." So, but he does say there's some hope in that service. So he got the message too in seminary that you always have to end a service with a little bit of hope. But the community out there is undergoing a lot of stress, and I think he's going to share a bit about that. So, with that, let's all take a deep breath and settle into our service with this morning's prelude. I am because you are. You are because we are. We are, therefore we love, coming to life together as we journey from birth to death. We love, therefore we are, finding warmth in our shared humanity, bringing together what resources we have to build a world of mutuality, caring, and trust. Please join me in the chalice lighting response you'll see on the screen. We kindle this flame with respect and support for the greater circle of humanity of which we are all part, no matter our differences. And let's rise in body or spirit and join in singing our opening hymn. It's number 360 in the gray hymnal. Here we have gathered. The words will be on your screen. And we'll light the chalice first, yeah. Let's rise to light the chalice.
Here we have gathered side by side. Here call of kinship, whether small and great. We of all ages, women, children, men, infants and sages, sharing what we can. Sing now together this our heart's own song. Life has its battles, sorrows and regret, but in the shadows let us not forget. We who now gather know each other's pain. Kindness can heal us as we give, we gain. Sing now in friendship this our heart's own song.
Seat, please. It's unfortunate that as we celebrate International Women's Day this year, today, March 8th, we are dealing with a particularly abhorrent and explicit brand of patriarchy in our nation. Sociologist Alan G. Johnson defines patriarchy not just as male dominance, but as a social system that organizes society around male power, shaping institutions, relationships, and even our own sense of self, no matter what gender identity we hold. In his book, The Gender Knot, he writes, "Patriarchy is a system in which men have power over women and others, but it's not about individual men. It's a structure that benefits men as a group and limits everyone else, men included, by rigid roles. So it's not necessarily about blaming men," Johnson notes, but seeing how the system shapes us all. That said, the possession of that power can corrupt anyone's thoughts and actions and can easily motivate some men to perpetuate the system. Though patriarchy has been with us for thousands of years, this particular brand of patriarchy we are experiencing today can be traced to the early 1970s. On January 22nd, 1973, 2 days after Richard Nixon was inaugurated to his second term, the Supreme Court of the United States ruled that the Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment of the Constitution protected a woman's liberty to choose to have an abortion. There was, of course, immediate pushback, especially from the Catholic Church and some Orthodox Christian denominations, who saw abortion as a moral wrong. Oddly enough, the prevailing evangelical position of the day was that life began with the first breath. So while there were some evangelical churches that opposed the ruling, many were indifferent, and some were even cited as supporting it. It was well after the ruling came down, as school integration was accelerating and the women's movement was gaining momentum, that a few powerful white men started to feel uncomfortable and worried about losing their tax-exempt status if they failed to integrate their private Christian schools. They looked to find an issue that might, for the first time, politically ignite their evangelical base. A memo was drafted, feigning outrage over the abortion issue and calling for, quote, a holy war to lead the nation back to the moral stance that made America great, unquote. They brought together 15,000 pastors, calling it the Religious Roundtable, and they trained them on the issues. And what the memo said was that in order to be aligned with Jesus, to have family values, to be moral, one must be against abortion and gay people, and vote for the candidate that is anti-abortion and anti-gay. Ronald Reagan, who in 1967 signed into law California's very liberal Therapeutic Abortion Act, saw an opportunity and began using language from the memo in his campaign for president. Evangelicals climbed on the bandwagon and voted as a bloc for the first time, helping Reagan win the 1980 election. And thus was born the religious right, with pro-life and pro-family values as their battle cry. But what ignited the movement, a movement that has now morphed into the latest iteration of Christian nationalism, a movement that has, in the last decade, overturned Roe v. Wade, significantly impacted women's access to reproductive health care, and threatens more restrictions on women's rights. What sparked this movement was the greed, misogyny, and racism of a few powerful men. If there's any comfort to be had on International Women's Day 2026, it is in the reality that women across the generations have made progress against patriarchy, challenging and changing many social structures that have bound people to the status quo, and that the work, no matter the circumstances, continues. And that we can be inspired by the next generation of women who, as recent polls have shown, in general feel less constrained in their choices than women before them. The goal we share is a world where all are free from the shackles of patriarchy and the isms it spawns. And while the goal may still lie over the distant horizon, there is still much to celebrate on this Women's Day 2026. Let's join together and sing our centering hymn. It's number 1002 in the Teal hymnal, Comfort Me.
Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Sing with me, sing with me, sing with me, oh my soul. Sing with me, sing with me, sing with me, oh my soul. Dance with me, dance with me, dance with me, oh my soul. Dance with me, dance with me, dance with me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, Comfort me, O my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, O my soul.
There is much need for comforting in these days when we are at war, when innocent people are hurt by our own hands. We struggle to understand and still find it difficult. We take a minute to just breathe and center and hope and pray for this violence and all violence to end. And in this time, we have the opportunity to share with one of those things that are personally troubling or lifting us up. Our joys and our sorrows. If you have something you'd like to share this morning, I hope you'll raise your hand, tell us your name, and briefly what's in your heart. Joys and sorrows. I'm going this way today.
My name is Ann Roberts, and it is my great joy to welcome Dr. Christy Winder and Dr. Russell Shavi from my home, Grosse Pointe Unitarian Church.
My name is Michael Rux, and my joy is the spiritual comfort that I received from two wonderful musical expressions that were quite spiritual in the last 2 weeks. One of which that you all can still share on YouTube and Facebook was the funeral for Reverend Jesse Jackson. The other was a wonderful performance on Passport PBS by John Baptiste. If you get a chance to see that, it'll lift your spirits very high. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Oh, let's pass it down that way first, since I was going that way.
Hello, my name is Al Curran, and as you know, Nancy, my wife, and I have the great pleasure today on National Women's Day to introduce three very powerful women. First, Allie. This is three of our 5 daughters. Allie, a Spanish teacher from Maine. Steph, a college PA professor from Virginia. And Amy, a therapist from New Hampshire. And together they have created 6 of our 15 grandchildren.
It's so great to have you with us this morning.
Hi, everyone. I'm Amy Chappell. Unfortunately, I have a sorrow. Our daughter-in-law was pregnant with our 3rd grandchild in her 2nd trimester and found out on Friday that the baby had died in utero.
Oh, so sorry.
Hi, my name's Susan Music, and I have a sorrow. My sister is now in hospice, so I'm going to have to leave and go up to Missouri to be there with her. So I hate to leave all of you so early, but family.
Thank you, Susan.
My name is Ellen Procopo, and I found out earlier in February about a law change in Canada saying, "You have woke up Canadian." Canadian citizenship by descent is now law, and my siblings and I are going through the process to get our Canadian citizenship.
I'm Bill Pettinger, and I have a joy. I would like to share with you that each of you can participate in. I actually grew up on a farm where we had about 80 acres of trees and vegetation. In fact, I'm so fond of the trees that I planted 65,000 trees on my own land. But here we said, in contrast to religious institutions around the city, we have a beautiful view here of trees, and they all have just a parking lot. It's my joy.
Thank you. So I asked Sean and Abby today to keep track of everybody who fell asleep during the service today. So, you know, if you get a little bored, then there's always this beautiful view to watch and see. So, anyway, anyone else? Mindful for all of the joys that remain unspoken and the sorrows as well. We express gratitude for all that's been shared, some deep sorrows, some joys, trees. And Patty, would you join me up here, please? Let's center ourselves for a time of spoken and then silent meditation. Meditation. I'll find it. It's here somewhere.
Is it reading Song of Solomon?
No. Here we go.
Meditation. And then a responsive meditation. Okay. Which is you and which is
Just
me?
you, me. You start.
Okay. And then all that has divided us will merge.
And then compassion will be wedded to power.
And then softness will come to a world that is harsh and unkind.
And then both men and women will be gentle.
And then both men and women and men will be strong.
And then no person will be subject to another's will.
And then all will be rich and free and varied.
And then the greed of some will give way to the needs of many.
And then all will share equally in the earth's abundance.
And then all will care for the sick and the weak and the old.
And then all will nourish the young.
And then all will cherish life's creatures.
And then all will live in harmony with each other and with the earth.
And then everywhere will be called Eden once again.
Nice.
Let's share some silence together.
The Song of Solomon, or Song of Songs, is an oasis in the Hebrew Bible. It's a book of only 8 chapters, but the song overflows with the rich imagery of nature and the garden and the beautiful language of passion. It's an erotic love poem that allows us in on the conversation between 2 lovers whose passion and whose respect for each other is mutual. The lovers take turns describing the other's physical gifts, seeking and hiding from each other, calling each other to union, imagining the time when their love will be fulfilled. Though the song is not a linear narrative, we are pulled along, ultimately finding in its passages the affirmation that love is strong as death. And that's the Song of Solomon, chapter 5, verses 2 through 8. And I slept, but my heart was awake. Hark, my beloved is knocking. Open to me, my sister, my love, my dove, my perfect one. For my head is wet with dew, my locks with the drops of the night. I had put off my garment. How could I put it on? I had bathed my feet. How could I soil them? My beloved put his hand to the latch, and my heart was thrilled within me. I arose to open to my beloved, and my hands dripped with myrrh, my fingers with liquid myrrh upon the handles of the bolt. I opened to my beloved, but my beloved had turned and gone. My soul failed me when he spoke. I sought him, but found him not. I called him, but he gave no answer. The watchmen found me as they went about in the city, and they beat me and wounded me. They took away my mantle, those watchmen of the walls. I adjure you, O daughters of Jerusalem, if you find my beloved, tell him I am faint with love.
How our wounds ache for love's healing all through our days. How our world needs love's revealing in all its ways. Fearful hearts suspect the stranger, hardened nations arm for danger. Love lives on, the powerful changer, all through our days. Love's the grace that makes us caring all through our lives, urges us to warmth and sharing all through our lives, speaks in us oppression naming, strives in us injustice shaming, lives in us true peace proclaiming all through our lives.
set me as a seal upon your heart, as a seal upon your arm. For love is strong as death, passion fierce as the grave. Its flashes are flashes of fire, a raging flame. Many waters cannot quench love, neither can floods drown it. If one offered for love all the wealth of one's house, it would be utterly scorned. The Song of Solomon is a model of sensual love and mutuality right there in the Hebrew Bible between the book of Ecclesiastes and the prophecies of Isaiah. The two lovers, as depicted in the text, are not conforming to the culturally expected rules of engagement, where marriage was more a familial and social contract than it was a romantic courtship. My beloved is his, and I am mine, the woman states with assurance. My dove, my perfect one, is the only one, her lover says, the darling of her mother, flawless to her that bore her. And yet ever present in the background are those sentinels of the walls, guardians of propriety, keepers of the status quo, reminding us that it can be dangerous to stray too far from the norm. Sometimes referred simply as the song, the scripture presents a wonderful and unexpected departure from the traditional gender roles as depicted in much of the Bible. But of course, it's not fully free from the patriarchal culture in which it was created. 3,000 years later, the patriarchal system holds sway throughout much of the world, and it still needs to be challenged as it was in this short book. While there are some who still read the Song of Solomon as an allegorical text describing God's relationship with the people of Israel, or the individual's journey to union with God or with Jesus, most modern scholars believe that the song was written simply as a love poem on a very human scale. Feminist commentators and theologians have used the song as a wedge to begin to present a new interpretation of biblical faith that doesn't have the patriarchal blinders of their male counterparts down through the ages. With the benefit of fresh eyes, these scholars study the text and the relevant cultures and see new possibilities for application in our own times. In looking at the literature of the day, they point to examples of love poetry from other parts of the Middle East, and in particular to the collections of love poems from Egypt around the 12th century BCE, as offering close parallels to the Song of Songs, sharing many of the same motifs. And there's archaeological evidence that the hierarchical relationships between men and women in those areas were less rigidly prescribed in very ancient times, and that Egypt in particular took much longer to shift to a predominantly patriarchal culture. This doesn't necessarily mean that culture was matriarchal to begin with in structure, but that there was a strong focus on the life-creating power of women, a role that was culturally elaborated and valued. Thus, the song is part of a regional genre that viewed women as partners, lovers, and mediators of divine life. Patriarchy likely developed as human beings started to tame the environment, first through agriculture and then through the domestication of animals. Prior to that, some anthropologists describe hunter-gatherer societies as being fiercely egalitarian. Even though there was a significant division in labor, each role was critical to the group, to the survival of the group. Each depended on all, and the clan and tribe members used social mechanisms such as teasing or ostracism to prevent anyone from acting as if they were more important than anyone else. But with the growth in agriculture, and then through the domestication of animals, anthropologists believe that the growing split between humanity and the rest of nature began to sow the seeds of a more general and profound disconnection in social life. It did this by providing a model for control and domination based on the distinction between self and other. We might perhaps equate this with the biblical fall from grace. Instead of seeing life as an undifferentiated whole, the stage was set for dividing the world between controllers and controlled. And whether or not this was the only or even the predominant factor, the overwhelming consensus among modern anthropologists and sociologists is that though it has been with us for millennia, patriarchy is a cultural invention or a social system, not an inherent biological or inevitable aspect of human nature. And while we can point to progress in the movement toward equal rights and opportunities and respect for women in society, the predominant system we have inherited from so many past generations is one that promotes male privilege by being male-dominated, male-identified, and male-centered. It's also organized around obsession with control. Looking at modern patriarchal systems, Alan Johnson suggests that they are driven by the dynamic between control and fear, of men seeking status and security through control, fearing other men's control over them, and seeing still more control as the only solution. Johnson feels it's credible to suppose that this dynamic was key in the evolution of patriarchy. But even more foundational to why men are susceptible to a system of fear and control, Johnson suggests it's that men experience fewer reminders of the body, the physical body, in relation to the natural rhythms of birth and renewal and death that women have experienced over the decades, the millennia, making it easier for men to separate themselves from nature and imagine a greater distinction between self and other. As it does in the Song of Songs, the will to control oppresses and can breed violence. The beloved may be feeling a new and profound sense of identity in her new love, but if she expresses it too publicly, she will be checked and put in her place. And is that so much different than the world in which we live today? In 1978, Caribbean-American poet and activist June Jordan penned her poem about my rights, and it still resonates as a living cry for justice. Her poem begins with these lines: "Even tonight, and I need to take a walk and clear my head and about this poem and about why I can't go out without changing my clothes, my shoes, my body posture, my gender identity, my age, my status as a woman, alone in the evening, alone on the streets, alone not being the point being that I can't do what I want to do with my own body because I am the wrong sex, the wrong age, the wrong skin. And suppose it was not here in the city but down on the beach or far into the woods, and I wanted to go there by myself, thinking about God or thinking about children or thinking about the world, all of it, disclosed by the stars and the silence. I could not go, and I could not think, and I could not stay there alone as I need to be alone because I can't do what I want with my own body. And who in the hell set things up like this?" Like June Jordan, the beloved in the Song of Songs is darker skinned, and thus the relationship between the two lovers in the song is even more striking in its non-conformity. The author of the song seems to be challenging the social structures of the day, pushing a number of buttons. Feminist biblical commentators like Cheryl Exum remind us that care is needed in making generalizations about past cultures, but the depiction of constraints to certain social behavior is real, and there are laws and codes that exist from around those times that are very specific, that give very specific parameters about women's dress and behavior and where they can go in public. The punishment levied out to the beloved in the song aligns almost exactly with the written codes from the time period and aren't much different from the norms that exist today in some parts of the world. Violence against women has always been a matter of control. Here in the United States, laws that deal with how women and other marginalized populations should be treated in our society continue to be regular news. And for the last 50 years, our Unitarian Universalist Association has weighed in on those issues. In 1977, Despite some early resistance, the General Assembly of the Unitarian Universalist Association passed the Women and Religion Resolution, and that has followed that up over the years with additional resolutions and study issues to keep women's rights in our consciousness. And while as a nation we seem to be chipping away at the edges, passing resolutions and laws that addresses some of the issues that have worked to protect those who were oppressed, we did not change the deeply held patriarchal system that is the foundation for all oppression and all resistance to change. We can identify maybe with the woman in the song and the life force that bubbles from her newfound love. We might identify with the man and his reverence for the woman who has ravished his heart. We can be playful along with the daughters of Jerusalem, the chorus in the Song of Solomon that includes us and allows us a window into this passionate relationship. But we are also, all of us, men and women alike, those sentinels of the walls, guardians of propriety and keepers of the status quo. We are those sentinels, if only in our tacit participation in governmental and economic systems that have embedded within them systemic biases that work against anyone who isn't white and male and heterosexual. Our patriarchal culture is the air that we breathe, providing both the blueprint for many of our social structures, and at the same time, it's the root for all oppression of both women and men. If we were to think of our culture as a river, and there are parts close to the surface that move quickly, fashion and music come to mind. And then there are those norms and mores that run a bit below the surface, that change only slowly. We can think of women's rights perhaps being one of those. And then there is a system of male dominance, male-centeredness, and the obsession with control, our patriarchal culture that runs deep and slow. And there's no wonder that we often focus on the systems further up in the stream, including women's rights, brown and black rights, lesbian and gay rights, economic inequality, and these are the issues to which we can point and perhaps make some headway. Not included in that list, but equally a function of our patriarchal culture and obsession with control, is male violence, whether it's exhibited in the home or in the neighborhood, in random acts or on an international scale of terrorism and war, exactly what we are seeing in the world and in our own nation today. But to the extent that any of us benefit from the current systems, we can be seduced into going along or even into full participation. But we are all victims in that we never fully experience a life built upon mutuality between people of any and all gender identities, male or female, straight, gay, lesbian, bisexual, or genderqueer. How rich that would be. A culture that celebrates difference instead of one that feels the need to keep watch. If we really, truly wish to see change, to find beloved community, we need to lean away from being the sentinels, widen the embrace of our love, and continue to challenge the status quo. And believe it or not, this is exactly the message you will find in this little book that sits in the middle of the Hebrew Bible.
I need cues all the way along. The benediction, to reconstitute the world. It's not necessarily for us to finish the good work of the world. What? Oh, never mind. Okay. But the offertory, you did. Final thoughts? No. Okay, the info on the screen. Thank you. Okay. This is such a short piece. It's amazing that I got confused. Okay. This is a special time in our service. Time to respond to who and what we are. This community, its staff, this lovely facility are havens of rationality. This time offers us a chance to move past simply giving, to express generosity for the fact that UUCGN is here for us. Those watching can enjoy that feeling of gratefulness too. The info on the screen makes it easy to contribute. We thank you for the contribution, and the ushers will be grateful. It will gratefully receive today's offering.
One quick word about this piece. You might be wondering, Sean, why are you having a piece by a male composer on International Women's Day? And the answer is that Abby and I have done a lot of duo concerts together, and we've always looked for music that has the two instruments in equal roles. And this was written by a composer for his composer wife to play at the piano part, which is absolutely gorgeous. So it's just a really, really lovely piece.
Beautiful, thank you. American poet, essayist, and feminist Adrienne Rich wrote, "My heart is moved by all that I cannot save. So much has been destroyed. I have to cast my lot with those who, age after age, perversely, with no extraordinary power, reconstitute the world." Can we change something so firmly established and deeply rooted? Not in our lifetimes, perhaps. That's not the point. Should we work to help more people get a piece of the pie? Not that necessarily either. As Rosemary Martins, one of the framers of the 1977 Women and Religion resolution, said, "We don't want a piece of the pie. It's still a patriarchal pie. We want to change the recipe." Yeah. And that recipe, Alan Johnson suggests, is riddled with internal contradiction and strain. It's based on false and self-defeating assumption that control is the answer to everything. Neither patriarchy or any other system can last forever under that kind of strain. The transformation of patriarchy has been unfolding ever since it began 7,000 years ago, and it's still going on. And in this moment, it might be hard to take any joy in the notion that our society has made progress on this front, because with every step there's come pushback. And what we're seeing with this administration and the 2025 blueprint for its policies is an attempt to completely reverse many of those gains. But of course, yes, there are things we can do, keeping our eyes open to truly what's going on around us and naming it. Work to change the face of our national leadership. The sad news is that women still only make up 20% of the current 119th Congress. Dare to make people uncomfortable, including ourselves. Look at ourselves and see where we are carrying forward those patriarchal ideas, both in our personal lives, in the places in which we engage, and in the world around us. We've come a considerably way in recent history. The Song of Solomon came out of a particular time and place, and we have to be careful not to make too much of it or to detract from its poetic beauty. But the song opens our eyes to both possibilities and realities. And there in those passages is everything we need to make change in the world. Mutual love and respect, hope, hesitancy and uncertainty, and boldness and passion. And then there are those sentinels whose job it is to maintain the status quo. We are the lovers. We are the chorus. We are those sentinels of the walls. The song is rich with the motif of the garden, but if we truly wish to create the garden anew, to find beloved community, we do need to lean away from being those sentinels and continue to widen our embrace of love. Let's rise and join in singing our closing hymn, Answering the Call of Love. It's number 1014 in your teal hymnal. The words, the revised words from the author will be on the screen.
The promise of the Spirit, faith, love, and love abide, and so every soul is blessed, made whole. The truth in our hearts is our guide. We are answering the call of love. Hands joined together as hearts beat as one, emboldened by faith, we dare to proclaim we are answering the call of love. Sometimes we build a barrier to keep love tightly bound, corrupted by fear unwilling to hear, denying the beauty we found. You're answering the call of love. Hands joined together as hearts beat as one, emboldened by faith, we dare to proclaim we are answering the call of love. A bright barrier to keep love tightly bound, disrupted by fear, could nothing to hear, regarding the beauty we found. We are answering the call of love. Hands joined together as hearts beat as one, emboldened by faith, we dare to proclaim we are answering the call of love.
We are answering the call of love. I need to talk to the guy who creates the slides. It's not necessary to finish the good work of the world, only to begin it again, here and now, knowing that love is strong as death. Let us then cast our own lot with those who, age after age, perversely, with no extraordinary power, reconstitute the world. Go in peace, go in love, walk humbly on this earth.